Well, greetings friends and welcome back. Today we are looking at the Federal Assault Ship. But first, I wanted to show you what this ship looks like from the ground, and we are pretty much standing on the deck of the dock. So as you know, this channel is reasonably famous for sticking my head through doors. One I really want to stick my head through is that one all the way over there, which I absolutely cannot get to because the thing just won't let me. And this is as close as anyone can get using the current camera suite, and even so the door is probably a good 15 to 20 meters away from me. But I wanted to show you a few things on the dock side of things, because there's a lot of stuff here that's interesting and obviously weird in scale. The door over there is clearly designed to be a hangar door. It's probably a good 10 to 15 meters wide and about 3, maybe 4 meters high. These things over here, I'm not sure exactly what they're supposed to be. They almost look maybe like torpedo tubes or giant batteries. I don't know if you can see it on your screen there, but this guardrail is absolutely having a fit, which is the thing that you will find in Elite Dangerous when you start sticking your head through things where it's not supposed to go. But those things, whatever they are, I don't even know what to call them. Let's call them batteries, right? They're probably a good 3 meters long, and obviously they're triangular in shape, and I would estimate that they probably come up to about just above your knee in terms of the height of the triangle. Now over here we can see this screen, which again is huge. I would say it's probably, okay, if you imagine the screen of one of those maybe 2 to 3 screen cinemas, this would be about the screen size that is. Obviously you can see it's projected several times there, which makes it pretty blurry from this distance away. In terms of the back wall here, that's where those things are. Well, at least we found where they are, but it doesn't really tell us what they do. Okay. Here we have a light which we can stick our faces into, maybe. Yep, there we go. And there is no interior on the light, but it's just designed to light up the wall and tell you where you are, which is we are in Galileo, orbiting the moon, the Earth's moon, shall we say. Let's be more specific. It's all backwards controls here. Now the doors I can't get much closer to than this, but classically, with regards to Elite Dangerous, they are probably half the size that they need to be. I'd say they would probably come up to about chest height on me, and that's about it. And again, the textures back here, I really hope you can see this on your screen, but they are just having an absolute pink fit with that stuff floating in front of the wall. Now here we can get a bit closer to these things. Can I stick my head inside? Let's try. Ow! No, I can't. Well, it was a valiant effort. Let's see what else we can see over here. Catwalk is a reasonably good size, and obviously the view from here would be pretty cool looking at your ship. Again, the scale is off because everything here is 70% of the size that it should be. This door is a little bit better, I would say. The door would probably come up to just on my head height, so it's probably just on 6 feet tall. And again, that one is probably a good, I don't know, 12 to 20 feet. It's hard to estimate, and also feet are not my native thing. And if we move further on, so the rest of the dock in terms of its size is probably the size of a football field, I would say, this entire area. And when you think that there's, you know, several dozen of them inside any spaceport at any one time, you can imagine how giant the spaceport actually is. But even so, I still think that the spaceport itself and everything in it is 70% as big as it actually should be. So, after that interlude, let's say good morning to Commander Headless, looking all headless as normal, and here we are in the Federal Assault Ship. Now, this is probably going to be a very quick whip around because we have seen the interior of a couple of these ships already. So, I really like the interior of the Federal Assault Ship because of the red accent. So, similar to the Phantom, I really like the way the red looks against the black. And certainly in here, it makes it for a very spectacular looking ship. Most of this red fabric is kind of this padded, dotted setup, and there's nothing in behind it other than more of the same. And underneath the dash, it is just, again, plain texture, where you can see that there would be some storage down there, or you could have a sleep under there. The projector sizes are about the same as normal, so this one's probably about 60 centimeters in diameter. And there's a decent amount of dirt and scratches on it just to show that it's a little bit lived in, but These Federal ships do seem to be more well polished, sometimes even than the Imperial ones. So directly in front of you, the dash isn't actually that deep, so it's probably in total about a meter and just over a meter from the start of the dash here to where it would touch, I can't reach it from here, where it would touch the front of the ship itself. On the sides, on both sides, we have our chicken noodle soup machines / espresso makers / whatever they are. And there is no real nozzle, and if we stick our eye into it, it just looks like a black texture. So there's nothing actually inside that machine, but certainly it looks like a beverage dispenser of some description. Here we have our classic 1970s Datsun ashtrays next to a miniature Eye of Sauron, which kind of looks really cool on this circular patterned carbon fiber something. Again, mostly just inlays to make the thing look cool, but certainly if that's their intention, then great success. And if we were to stand at the front console, you can see that it is actually fairly low. It probably comes up to mid-thigh height, if anything. So certainly you could rest on it and lean on it like this and look out the front if that was your bag. Just noticed over here while we're looking out the front next to this bridge, which we've seen these vehicles built before, but they're about 70% of the size that they should be. But just underneath this bit, there's actually a park down there with a river or something that's meant to have some flow in it, but several problems. The thing's spinning, so that's probably not real water. If it is, it's flowing that way instead of that way. But then again, if the station is spinning, then it probably will have horizontal flow. However, the sewer looks to be down the end. A couple of issues. But the rest of the park actually looks really cool, although it does look very miniature, and it is probably half size. Is that even meant to be a dock for little boats or something sticking out there? That's bizarre. Anyway, back to the ship. So here we have our classic remlock box, which we have seen before, held in with these little straps. They actually look like they have some thickness to them this time, which is unusual. Usually they're just a super flat texture, but very much looking like a seatbelt material kind of strap. This one seems to come across and be holding onto the box, although clearly it is not. And the box itself just looks like a very large Pelican case that if I was to put my hands on, it would be sort of like, here would be the corners there, and then that would be the top here that I'd be touching, and here would be the front and rear that I'd be running my hands along now. In terms of the inside, there's nothing inside, as we know, and there is also a large space in the back here, which previous videos I have sat here and said you could have a stowaway, or if the captain was having a particularly lazy day, they could come in here and chill out for a few hours. And perhaps that's what the co-pilot is doing when they're not sitting in their seat. Speaking of their seat, we are now in it, and I have noticed a very big problem. This crossbar, I'm not sure what it's doing there, but you can see that that would obviously go pretty much exactly where the co-pilot's legs are supposed to go. I'd love for one of you guys to have a look at this ship in multi-crew and tell me whether you can actually see this going through the commander's legs, because certainly the commander's legs would be right there, able to go just over, but that does not look comfortable. And I actually think this entire crossbar shouldn't be here at all, because you can see here it's encroaching quite a lot onto the stalk that's holding up this smaller size console here, which is roughly just sitting right here if I was to touch it. But yeah, it's obviously encroaching into that, encroaching into the legs. What function does it actually serve? It's got a couple of grab handles on it from this side, and from the other side is plain. There's a grab handle there directly behind the commander's chair, which is entirely unnecessary, given that the commander's chair itself has grab handles on it. So, I mean, there's a bit of clearance, but what's the point? It's like either this or the chair belong, but the two together don't seem to. Maybe there was a change in the chair location during the whole multi-crew situation, but certainly that crossbar would be a place to stand. The seat is a place to sit. Two together, not so much. Anyway, that's enough of that. So the co-pilot does have a really nice view, obviously out the left more so than the right, because it's much further away. And then behind the co-pilot themselves is our familiar large, effectively just walkway to get through to the back of the cockpit. Now the cameras in this ship don't really let me get all the way into the rear of the cockpit, or this entire area, but I will do my utmost to get you there. But they do give you a chance to have a look at the roof lining. So again, there's more of this padded red texture and a very bright white light, which is just a panel directly touching the outside of the cockpit section. And then there are these low res panels that we have seen pretty much everywhere. Some of them cut off, some of them seem to want to be displaying a thing, but they're not really. You know, things that would definitely need to change for spacelegs to come out. There are also these large storage lockers, which again are the same, or seemingly the same as inside the Eagle. This one in particular starts here and ends over here and is yay high. So certainly large enough to store your hoverboard. On the other side, we have a repeat of similar sort of displays and readouts, again too low res to actually see. And at the rear, we can't quite get through the door, but we can get near it. It has our familiar access to D1, unlock pressurized, and nitrogen and oxygen written on the door itself. Access to D1, and that texture over there is glitching itself to death. Presumably it's just the open and close interface for the door itself. Now I realize I don't actually have auto launch on this ship, so we're going to do this manually and backwards, so wish me luck. As we take off, we'll be able to see the landing gear retract. Now we'll have a quick look at them first. They look very much like the... oh, hang on, let's just watch that go. So again, something you don't really see usually. All it does is spins around and comes back up the other way, so there you go. Now the landing gear kind of look like the feet on a sewing machine, if you can imagine those, just obviously in huge scale. Landing gear retracted. And as they retract, they come up into the body itself and disappear as per normal. Right, I'm sitting here behind the Remlock box. Let's see if I can fly out of the spaceport from this vantage point. This is dicey. Reasonably good. As we fly out of here, you can see that the rear access hatch would actually get right on top of the large hardpoint there that's directly behind it. And then we can see the interior of some of the other hardpoints and the cargo bay directly behind it. So if we deploy the large hardpoint, you can see it pop itself down there and extend as per normal. The top of that one in particular looks like Claptrap from Borderlands. Let's give it a bit of fire. As everything retracts, we can see it pop back up in there and disappear as per normal. And I've managed to get myself up above the cockpit itself, so you can see the cockpit down there through the roof that I'm clearly standing up on top of. And we can see the back of that section. And if we deploy the hard points there, you can see the AX multi-cannon come up there through the roof. And that's a good sort of probably 5 meters or so away. So you can see the distance of these things is pretty significant away from where we actually are. I'm not sure what's going on with the sound, but it's killed itself. And unfortunately, the rest of the interior is as per normal, just kind of placeholder graphics and placeholder sections which don't really have anything in them. So once again, huge amounts of work for spacelegs to actually become a thing. So there we are, friends. I hope you enjoyed that quick look at the Federal Assault Ship. A really cool ship, very mobile, very intense on firepower, but there you are. You can also see there our moon in the background, which we'll be visiting in the very next video. So stay tuned for that one. And until then, I'll see you in the black. Fly safe, Commanders.